Hi, welcome to our Communication Awards webinar. My name is Beth Rugg from Ithaca College in New York, and I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for SIGUCCS, and I'll be helping facilitate this event. Trevor Murphy is really doing all the hard work. He's a SIGUCCS Communications Award Coordinator, and he's also an instructional technologist from Williams College. Before we jump in, I just want to give you some information about GoToWebinar and some rules of the road. This is a pretty small group, so I want to unmute everybody because Trevor and I are just hoping that way it can be more, informal and relaxed as we go forward. So I've unmuted everyone. Does everyone want to just say hi?
Hello.
Hello. Is that Denise or Karen?
Yes. Karen?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Karen. Hey, Karen. Yes, we can hear you. Great.
Good. Great.
Denise, April, or Steve? Are you on?
This is Denise. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is April.
Hello, April. We hear you well. And then, Steve, are you there by any chance? He may be. I hear a little background noise. But since it's just 6 of us, we'll just go ahead and try to keep everybody unmuted. If for some reason somebody walks in, there's a distraction, I think you can probably mute yourself if you look in the little panes that are provided by GoToWebinar. So that way it'll keep the background noise to a minimum. I must admit I am actually working at home today, so my dog is in the background. I've made everything really dark, and I'm hoping he doesn't bark, but we'll see how that works out. I'm like, oh my gosh. The other thing is there's also a chat feature where you can ask questions. So if Trevor's kind of presenting and instead of verbally asking a question, you want to send a question through chat, feel free to do that as well. I'll be helping Trevor monitor those events. I think you should be able to see the attendee list. That's more an FYI than anything else. So any questions before we begin?
No.
All right, great. Well,
No.
Trevor, I'll just turn it over to you then.
Thank you, Beth. So welcome to this webinar. Using the SIGUCCS Communication Awards to Stack the Deck is my presentation title. This is my second ever webinar. So now I'm an old hand, I suppose. And this is my first year of volunteering as the SIGUCCS Communications Awards Chair. And I'm taking over from Greg Hannock, who did a great job for 3 years. And I am trying to find my way. In doing so, I've been looking at the amazing work that people have been doing, and the Communication Awards, it seems to me, is a group of people who all create content, work with different media to promote their IT resources at their schools, and so it's a community as well as an awards judge competition. So I just have a few slides about my perspective on that, and then I want to share a little bit about some of the categories and show you how to submit your work to the awards. So many of us do work in isolation. We do our own work. The good news is I think we all have very good instincts. I think we can recognize good design. I find it frustrating that I am better at recognizing good design than actually doing good design. But I think that that's common. Often we'll try to branch out and share our work with our colleagues and try to get some maybe useful feedback, a second opinion on things. I know I share many of my communication efforts with my supervisor. And I know that my efforts would improve if I could share with people I've met where we have similar goals and interests in terms of our communication efforts. And it seems like we should just continue that conversation, but it ends up not happening for one reason or another. So my idea is that we can stack the deck in our favor by being a part of a community of content creators. And so I'm thinking of the Communication Awards as, of course, a judge competition of just recognizing great work that everyone's doing, but also as a way to engage with some of that great work, look at it and take lessons from what other people are doing, talk to other professionals who are doing some similar work, and seeing what we can bring back to our own work. So I see it as kind of a cycle where you take something you've been working on, you submit it to the awards, and then you follow that track. At the SIGUCCS conference, you'll have the ability, and even before that on the website, to look at some of the other entries that are being recognized in the same categories that you submitted work to. And I think that it would be really instructive to not only look at the other work, but to attend the conference and talk to each other about the work that we do in terms of our communication efforts. As an entrant in the Communication Awards, you get feedback from the judges who are past winners in the Communication Awards. And I think that that feedback is really useful to get us to talk about what we do well and what we could maybe improve, and then take that and incorporate it into our work to make it better. And then maybe apply those new techniques to our work and submit our new products for awards in the following year and just make it a cycle. I know that just from studying Greg Hannock's notes from the last few years that there are several schools that have really improved their communication outreach, so much so that they're often recognized through the Communication Awards for their work. And it's because they have incorporated this feedback and improved every year their entries, not just because they like the national recognition for their work, but because it's better for their institution, for their IT group at their school. So that's my invitation to you, to stack the deck in your favor and join in this conversation. And I'll be looking for your ideas on how to bring this group of content creators together as a community so that we can more actively work on improving our communication efforts. So now that I've talked a little bit about kind of what I want to bring to the Communication Awards, I just wanted to look at some of the categories. I think that many of them, it just reflects the variety of media that we're producing now and the number of categories we have. So I have several pages of categories, all of which have separate judges who are past winners. And just today, I think I answered a question from someone who thought that some of these, that maybe the awards only recognize digital compositions, digital media. But in fact, we still have printed computing newsletters as well as electronic computing newsletters, PDFs, websites, video. I think that these are things that we're still doing. We're still working on our website. We're still working, or we're creating new mobile websites. We're still doing newsletters. And it's great to get new life and energy into our creations. Also, we've got how-to guides. We have several categories because these are something that seem to be popular. We might have our own institution-specific setup, and so we create our own documentation. And we have so printed guides that are posted or mailed out, electronic how-to guides, which might be on a website, might be part of a collection. So there's a different, you could submit either an individual item or a collection of items. And then instructional classroom materials, how to use the classroom software and hardware that you might have. Also, quick reference guides. And then we have a range of materials that could be multimedia. You might have promotional materials for services, which could vary widely in the media that's used, from video, electronic, printed, and general service campaign materials, but also student-created promotional materials, and then short video / audio. A question? Short video or a long video are both important categories. I think I've seen some really strong entries in those categories in the past, especially last year. And then we have software distribution on physical media and software distribution on electronic media. Those are our categories. I have been asked about our categories perhaps changing in the future. One suggestion was to add a category for apps that are created, and that category does not yet exist. Another thing that can happen to categories, we watch them over years and see how many people submit into particular categories, and then we'll see if there's a decline in submissions. Maybe there are no awards that year for that category, or perhaps we talk about letting it go. These are the categories we have now. It's fixed for this year, but it is slightly dynamic. I don't think it happens fast, but we all work in technology, and we can recognize that things do shift more rapidly in our fields than in many other fields. So that's pretty much what I had to say. I really wanted to listen to you and answer your questions, or perhaps show you how you can actually fill out the form online and how that works. Do I have any questions at this point?
I have a question. This is Karen. Okay, I just submitted something in 5B.
Okay.
And it's like a campaign. It was actually a large event. So it's like a multitude of materials.
Right.
It's our website. I have some brochures and posters. We had a student contest and a video. So I just sent in like the website, and then
Sure.
I guess I'll have to email the other stuff later.
Yes, I have a way I can upload those so that they're available for the judges to look at. If you have printed materials you can send as a PDF, that's great. If there are physical materials that you want to have in the judge's hands, you let me know, and I will get you a physical address to send them to the judge.
Is it better to send the physical materials or the digital files?
I think that everyone would prefer the digital files, they ship faster and it doesn't cost any money, and
Okay.
they are all collected together so that they can all be evaluated easily. So from an organization standpoint, it's better. But from your point of view, when you're looking at your materials, it might be, because I don't know, I don't have your materials in front of me, that the real strength of the materials is in their physical presentation. Sometimes there are innovations that you're bringing to the materials that make novel use of the media they're created with, and really having it in your hand is an important thing. And if you feel that way, then of course we would, it would be better to send in the physical media. But if it's something that you can get the idea from a PDF or maybe a photograph of the poster or posters, then we can do that as well.
Okay. And then can I submit a video that went with this event as a separate category? I was going to include it all into the campaign materials, but I really wanted to put the video in as a separate submission.
Right. I think you could, yeah, I would encourage you to do that.
Okay.
I think that it's all kind of in the category 5, and video is judged a little bit differently. I think that if you're going to have a campaign, of course you're going to have you're expected. It says that a variety of media are appropriate for that category, but I would encourage you to look at the video categories as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Trevor, this is Beth. I have a question.
Sure.
We do a series of in-seat workshops that involves a lesson plan, and then there's quick guides that go along with the workshop. Do you think that would fit into any of these categories? I mean, I know there seems to be an obvious category for like printed quick guides, but I'm not sure. For me, it's both pieces, right? It's the in-seat instruction with the hands-on exercises along with the quick guide.
Right. We don't have a workshop category.
Okay.
It's really for the quick guide. I would consider putting it in the how-to guides, whether it be printed or electronic format. So, like if you have a particularly effective handout, I think that in some ways these categories are pretty specific, and yet when I look at them, they mean different things to institutions of different sizes. And I think I would see that what you're talking about in terms of a quick guide, so that your workshop participants have something in their hand so that they know where to go once the workshop's over, that guides them on that path, would be entirely appropriate for one of those categories.
Okay.
And that not to worry that the category means that they have to be specifically part of some collection of standardized guides that everyone needs that doesn't come with the workshop.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This is Denise. We haven't submitted anything before, and so I know you went through all of this in the PowerPoint presentation. Is there a way we can get a copy of this presentation, or is there something on the website that shows us a step-by-step process for submitting our promotional information?
Let me actually end the show and show you the website. If we go to the conference website, can you see the conference website?
Yes.
On my screen? If you go to the awards tab, a lot of what I'm talking about are kind of all in this section under communication awards. It's kind of got an FAQ with some past competition winners, the categories, and some FAQs. And I think that if you're new to this, it would be good to look this over. I think some of the striking FAQs are that, if this is something that you did last year, you can still submit it. It's still eligible. It doesn't have to have been in the last month that you created this. But part of this site is how do I send in my submission, and it's a link to a form. And what you do is you fill this out with the contact information, choose a category, and you can fill out this form for multiple times for multiple submissions. You choose the category, give it a title, a little bit about the project, and how you intend to submit it. And that information will go to me, and I'll see it, and I will distribute the entries to the judges. And in terms of delivery method, that's the one thing that's got to be a little bit flexible, because there are a variety of different media. So you can always ask me questions about that. I have ways to give you a place to upload large files if it's too big to email, or you can email it to me, or you could give me a URL. So there's a variety of ways for that to happen. But I think that that's the most complicated part of the whole process, is deciding how to actually get the information to the judges. But it really shouldn't be, I really worked hard to make it easy to complete this process of submitting your work. I do need the contact information, and it's nice to have some information about the context of the piece, especially the team members who participated in creating it, if you work with the team, so that they can be recognized as well.
Okay.
This is Beth speaking. Denise, I just want to encourage you, since you have not done this before. I've actually done this a couple times on behalf of the group that I work with, and sometimes we receive recognition, other times we haven't. But I think it's always very worthwhile, because if you do have the opportunity to receive recognition, it really means a lot, both to, like, my boss takes tremendous pride in it, and then we'll notify the campus community about receiving this kind of award, but also my staff and my team members. They'll often then allude to it throughout the year, whether it be award-winning or nationally recognized. And you can see that they really take a lot of pride in their work. And as I was thinking about this year, I am actually Assistant Director for Technology and Instructional Support Services. We create so much every year, I almost take it for granted. And I'm like, oh, do I really want to take the time to go ahead and submit? And yet, I do think we do good work, and this is one way to have that recognized outside your organization. But then it can also just provide a lot of team building and a sense of pride within the team of people that you work with on a regular basis. So it takes a little bit of time to do this, but I think the end result can really be so much bigger for both us as individuals, for our institutions, and the team of people that we work with.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that feedback. That's one thing, I'm thinking about, what is involved, and also is looking at, do we want to wait till next year for some of it maybe, and do some of it this year? So that's what I'm kind of weighing. So this has been really very helpful.
That's great, and I will admit, sometimes we work really hard and not gotten the recognition. I'm like, what? But that's okay too. You know, that's all part of the effort. You know, the learning that goes along with it. And I think no matter what you try, and then see what comes. You never know exactly kind of what's going to happen, but it's always good to try to let others know what we're doing.
Right. Well, one thing I read in the advertisement for this webinar indicated that even, I guess, if we don't win anything or won an award, that we still would receive some feedback. Is that true? And who does that feedback come from?
So the feedback will come from the judge who is responsible for judging that category. What happens is if your institution wins the Best of Category award, one of the honors that goes with that is to judge the category for the next year. And that means they're ineligible to submit their own work that year for that category from that institution, but they take that honor seriously. They look at what other people are submitting, and even by judging the category, they're able to seriously look at what everyone's submitting and pick up some new tricks for their own work that obviously they take pride in. And they will be the ones to compile their thoughts and feedback on the entries for the category. And they'll be talking both about what they really liked about your entry, what they think the strengths of your entry are, and also some ideas of things that you can do to strengthen your submission, on things that you could do to perhaps improve it. And the judges kind of rotate because they're not going to be the judges next year. That's all kind of like moving around, but they are have been recognized for their innovations, and they have been recognized for the hard work that they put into it, and they'll be the ones giving you the feedback, and I'll be moderating the feedback to ensure that it's constructive and useful and helpful for you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Trevor, the only other thing I can remember, did you want to mention anything about if someone receives an award that then they are invited to participate in the poster session? Or is that also changing this year?
That's right. If anyone who's receiving recognition, there's the Best of Category, and then there are Awards of Excellence. There's only one Best of Category award per category. There can be one or more Awards of Excellence for recognition of just excellent work that just happened not to win the category that year. Both are honors. And at the conference, there will be several things. There'll be examples of the work that has been submitted that has won recognition, and there will be an opportunity for award winners to take part in the poster session to share their work and talk with conference attendees and with each other. And there's also an awards breakfast where we sit down to a plated breakfast and then also have the presentation of the awards, which are framed, and you get your photos taken for a press release from the Association of Computing Machinery. In addition, after the conference, your institution gets a letter. Award winners will have to give me guidance on who would be best to receive that that letter that congratulates them for their national recognition for the work that they have done. And so that can be directed to a chief technology officer or a supervisor or a dean as appropriate for the institution. I might be forgetting something because this is the first year that I've taken over from Greg, but that's the general idea. And like I said before, the best in category winners are then asked to judge that category for the next year, which is an honor that everyone that I've worked with so far has accepted. I think only in rare cases in rare cases people are unable to do that, but most are very happy to serve as judges because they recognize that it helps the Communication Awards community to participate in that way.
I know that we've actually not been to the conference before. We just really, I've been on the listserv for a little while because the CTO here has been as well, and we've gotten good information through it, but we've never attended the conference before. So how, and I'm looking at the cost of that and seeing what the registration deadlines are. How soon would we know, I guess, if when's the judging going to be complete to determine, like for example, whether I want to send the person that's kind of over our communications department, definitely want to go if there's an award being presented, but we do have our budget constraints. So when would we know that?
Right. It happens by about September 10th is when we hope to have that information. Oh, it sounds a little bit late. And we love everyone that wins an award to at the conference. It does happen that sometimes for whatever reason, for budget reasons or timing reasons, that doesn't happen, in which case the award is shipped to the institution, and we miss having your lovely photo. So our goal is to know by September 10th, and that kind of coincides with allowing the judges time to look over the materials, and also so that we can get the information onto the websites and notify people before the conference.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think we've pretty much run out of time for the webinar, unless there's any other questions. We have been recording this, so if all goes well, it should be available on the website for further reference if you so need it. And I think just knowing Trevor, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact Trevor via email. He's always very prompt in getting back to anyone who has questions. But again, thank you all so much for your time. Please, feel free to share out this information with anyone else in your organization who might have pieces that they could contribute. And I know Trevor's really looking forward to getting a community of communicators together. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.